So we're recording. I guess I can edit that part out. Hello, everybody. This is Joe Manduk here. This has kind of been long awaited because at the time before this was made, I didn't think there was going to be a global pandemic. So I haven't had time to get my co-director John with me, Mr. Jonathan Light's in the room with me.
Hello, that's me.
So we're deciding to, as we usually do, as I've done with the last couple movies in Merlin's Beard Productions, I wanted to do a little commentary just because, I don't know, wanted to give my thoughts on it. And to be honest, before we started, I think other than when I watched it after putting it all together and then showing it at a little premiere, I don't think I've watched this since then. So I don't know. I'm going to be looking at it kind of fresh. You've actually watched it a couple times, right?
Yeah, I guess I've watched it once once or twice in the last month, I'd say.
Oh,
month or two.
Last month or two. Wow.
Yeah,
So recent.
yeah, it's fresh in my mind.
Huh. Well, then I'm really interested to hear your thoughts about it because I know that you were involved with a lot of it, but not all of it. In fact, I think with the opening scene, I'm going to probably talk about some stuff.
Oh yeah,
that-
feel free.
but I would like your feedback as well if I don't talk over you, go on too long. I'm going to try to get your thoughts on this because um, we'll start it right here. But basically, I guess as the film itself is, it's kind of a little weird commentary on the stuff we've made so far. But we'll talk more about that. So I'm gonna start the movie now, and I guess we'll get into the commentary. I've got these two characters here played by Will and Nick, and I loved that little electric effect, which was simulating this tension and energy, because there might be something vaguely supernatural going on. This scene was actually one of the most painstaking things I've ever had to film because I have never put so many cuts in one scene. And even as filming it, they were like, yeah, on the script it says there's another cut, Joe. I'm like, oh man, cut here, cut there. I just wanted a lot of different angles, and I don't know, there were a lot of different takes with this one, and I was actually pretty happy with it. We filmed it pretty late, and I know Will was tired, but we had a lot of takes, and it was fun. It was a good time making this. I liked some of the lighting. I liked the blatant shift with the music. I think got a whiplash to get people invested. So I don't know, John. What do you think about it when you see it?
I think when I first watched it, I'm gonna be honest. I don't quite remember my initial thoughts from the first viewing.
Shock.
Um, yeah, I think I was just kind of along for the ride for the first viewing, but most recently, I watched it a month or two ago.
Mm-hmm.
I was just showing it off to a couple of friends of mine from school, and it was a triple feature, so
Oh no.
it was one after the other. It was back to back to back, and I think it really caught everybody off guard. The static and then the immediate music. And
I did
it's
have fun with that
Yeah.
jarring stuff. That was intentional.
and it was fun. I do really enjoy the effects that you got through it.
Cool.
I don't think I noticed this before, but I really enjoy the way that Will's face was framed earlier, with all of these other faces looking almost down at him in contempt, or in this sort of like,
You mean the Leaf Men?
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'll admit we don't really change the apartment up too much, so it might not always necessarily sell what the story is. But yeah, those figures are kind of creepy, and I guess they work for the lighting in the scene,
Yeah,
at least for some of them.
because when you look at the environment for storytelling purposes, I think that even if you don't change things around, that there are some conscious framing choices that you make as a camera operator and as director,
Yeah, some.
that can really inform the final product. And so you were talking about the tension earlier, and so you get this sort of idea of this like otherworldly presence bearing through the scene, and whether it's intentional or not, I think you got some of that with the leaf faces. I think those I think them being creepy helps to sell that sort of heightened aura and presence.
Well, thank you. I mean, some of the choices for the camera angles were unintentional, and a lot of it is just like, admittedly, maybe it's laziness of just like, okay, they're in somebody's apartment where this thing is hidden, and what just happens the way it's framed maybe is creepy. Uh, yeah. So I mean, that was the first scene, which was probably the hardest for me to make because I mostly did it myself, just with Nick and Will there, but they were troopers about it. I really appreciated their help. Got a lot of the classic crew here.
Yeah.
Some of these credits. Yeah. So I don't know. This movie was JA's idea, actually. It was the initial concept for this, the very meta stuff, was actually something he helped me come up with. So it was cool, and I kind of like the idea of at this point. Yeah, my movies have some issues for sure, but I thought that it was kind of fun to play with the ideas between sacrifice and bad places. That unconsciously I would do a lot of the same things, and we'd have some recurring elements. And like, okay, well, they seem like they're kind of connected, so I had that kind of sting there, the end credit sequence of Bad Places. So Demon Chair, it's kind of like a fake documentary, sort of mockumentary-esque commentary on both like fictionalized versions of us, but also with a lot of real commentary on the making of the movies. So it was definitely the most ambitious thing I ever tried to do thus far. But that was cute with the Lotham. But I don't know if I don't think I mean, in a weird way, it's kind of like with the other movies. There's a cat in the closet. Um, the in a lot of ways, I feel like like with the other movies, it was kind of what I expected it to be, but also not like I expected it to be at all.
Right.
So like I definitely feel like with what I have available, it was probably too much. But I don't know. Then again, I guess looking at the quality of the other movies, I guess it kind of fits in the same vein. Um, I don't know. I don't know what my cat thinks either, but I don't know. The I guess I know for you and Alex. Also, props to JA for helping a lot with the sound stuff. It was really cool. He really enjoyed listening to us. um, the uh, the interviews were, I guess, fun for you guys to come up with because a lot of the questions were, well, the initial questions were kind of on the fly, but then there was some variation in the answers,
Yeah.
really. And then I kind of used some audio here as well. I just kind of like saying, oh, there was some missing footage and stuff like that, like audio recordings and of course half the movie is just like footage from the other movies. So yeah, I guess if you've seen the other ones, you can kind of, I guess it's more of like a complimentary thing. I don't know. How do you feel, John? you said you had some thoughts, so I'm curious.
I think that splicing together the interviews, which are mostly ad lib, if not entirely ad lib.
Mostly, yeah.
I
very
think
very little writing, actually.
Yeah, there might be like one or two answers that were carried through, like the whole bit.
Oh, the bit with the prank on Will's
Will.
character. Yeah. There he is.
But I really enjoyed the sort of spontaneous nature of it.
That's true because he didn't even know that that's what was a joke before I ended up filming him. So his stuff might have been a little out of sync. Like he has no idea what they're talking about, and he's talking about some general things about the supernatural elements of the film, and it sounds like he's not actually talking about a little prank. Yeah. So there was some comedy that I guess we thought was kind of amusing. Overall, I think that there was some enjoyment with that. Doing the interviews, actually, I liked doing them.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I was kind of brought up to me in retrospect that maybe I could have actually used my green screen and tried to make it look like there was a backdrop and make it seem more professional, which might have sold the documentary aspect more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, probably. Maybe taking those steps would have done that, but at the same time, I feel like they kind of fits that, with the rest of the elements of the production. Oh, one thing I will say that when I first showed the original cut to you guys, one thing, I'm glad I do that because people give criticism before I actually do like a full thing. Originally, if you remember, for the first cut, the interviews were really long. There was no
Yeah.
cuts. I, I
Yep.
I thought that I could sustain people's attention with just like your interview and then more footage and then someone else's interview. And I could tell even amongst us watching it, the interest kind of waned when it was just like 10 minutes of you talking or me talking. And so the it took more editing, but I did appreciate the idea of yes, like okay, try to edit the more like a traditional documentary. Take more time to edit each question with everybody else's question and answer, so that it forms more of a sequence that relating to each topic. So
Yeah.
I think that helped with the flow over what it was initially.
Oh,
For sure,
definitely.
I was like, even though I'm watching, I'm like, yeah, these are kind of dragging
Yeah.
a little bit. They're not that funny. I'll admit.
And I think it definitely helps with the rhythm a lot.
Yes.
And building a sense of rhythm.
How did you feel about? It's interesting too, like some of the things that happen behind the scenes, how like they do affect certain things. Like initially, we had footage of Alex for his interview, but it got lost.
Yeah.
Like because I had an issue with my computer, so some stuff got lost, and that was one of the things that did. And I thought he was initially going to be kind of upset about that, but I think he thought that his like drunk character, I guess, was sold better through audio.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. How do you feel about that?
I think
I wasn't sure. I think we lost some good visual comedy there, personally.
I don't think I've ever actually seen Alex drunk, like actually drunk.
He doesn't really get drunk too often. It's true.
Um,
So that's one of those elements of the story that was fictionalized.
Yeah,
Alex is not an alcoholic. He's kind of a joke among us. He doesn't really ever get drunk, you know. So yeah,
So I think that he was definitely like hamming it up for the camera and the movie.
okay.
So I think there might have been a few gags that he threw in that like were lost because they were purely visual, but
Like with the looking for the chair and it not being there,
Yeah.
that got lost. I was like, that would have been kind of cool to the
Yeah.
maybe add to the creepiness or something. But yeah, that was lost, and I was like, man, that sucks.
yeah. But I think that whenever you're playing a character, if you're not physically like playing the character,
Mm-hmm.
and you're only doing voice work,
Mm-hmm.
I think it can be pretty effective, and I think it works here to not have visuals associated with a face or a body.
That's true. I mean, that's definitely the part of, I guess, filmmaking that I'm still, could definitely get better at it. But just like doing the audio stuff, I really like playing around with the sound effects and music, and I like doing the narration. And I guess through a lot of experience on YouTube, just doing a lot of voice work, I'm more comfortable with audio stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I can agree with that. It's in some ways it's easier and it works. In other ways, it's not. But I enjoy that part of it. I think that the only thing that might be vaguely atmospheric, well, not really. I guess some of the shots, like looking back at some of the ones here for Bad Places, they could be good. But the sound is definitely part of it. There was one goal I had with this movie, technically, that I wanted to get over the other two.
Yes.
And that was to avoid the damn popping
Oh yeah,
zoom
the
in
changing
thing,
aspect ratios,
constantly
yeah.
changing aspect ratio conversion thing, which was just because I was in my first two movies. Shame, I used Windows Movie Maker,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't think Windows Movie Maker is designed to have really long clips at a time.
Probably not.
So
yeah.
you had to cut them down so much. Some scenes were so long that you had to keep them, and if you couldn't break them up, they would just constantly do that when you converted them. So I was able to, render this movie and not have it do that,
Yeah.
which made me so happy because that was the most annoying, blatant technical flaw in the other two. Except I guess Sacrifice was just, 480p or
Yeah.
whatever it was. But yeah, that was really annoying. So I was so happy about that. Some of the sound of this movie is fine, and some of it's not. Like some of the, and I know what it was, and it was just a simple thing, and I think it was for your interview and somebody else's. Will's sounds the best because the air conditioning was on, and that picks it up, and that is where that comes from, and that does annoy me.
Yeah.
So the audio is better, but not in every scene. Some of it's still kind of the same old stuff. But I am happy that I don't have the zoom in random things anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, a lot of this movie, even as I'm talking about it is a lot of the interviews, which I guess okay. The bulk of the movie is the interviews with our fictionalized characters and also talking about previous events that mostly were kind of based on real things with some exaggeration. Um, so this was like my first attempt. This is better, I think, than my other attempt at a documentary, actually. When I tried to do one for Tanner's Game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, which was a good idea, but I don't think I should have planned it a little better, and I don't think I edited as much as I could have. I wish that I had been able to follow on a longer campaign. That might have been cool, but yeah. So yeah, I think it was kind of a lesson to me too that documentary filmmaking is not necessarily easier.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, like to make something even like a fake documentary interesting is a challenge too. So John, is this the most self-indulgent thing I've ever made? Because I feel like on one hand it could be reflective and honest, but I'm like, man, what are they thinking? Like it's already like, I mean, in the second one I was acting in it,
Yeah.
and now I'm like making this whole thing about myself. And on one hand, it's obviously like a commentary that I'm self-aware of, but you know, could anybody misinterpret that this is ego?
Right. I mean, I
Maybe a little bit. It probably is. But.
I definitely think that would be an easy reading of it.
What do they call that? Man.
Like an interpretation.
An interpretation, but of like an egotistic driven piece or something. Passion, not a passion project, but when you make a movie just for yourself, what is that called again?
I know what you're talking.
A Tommy Wiseau thing. Oh man, I forget the term, but basically just based around my own ego. Like, I'm making a movie about me making movies, and haha. But clearly, I'm poking fun at myself. So I don't think it's, maybe when I was making some of my other movies, I might have been like, oh yeah, I'm thinking I'm making great stuff, and then just realizing, whoa, I got a long ways to go. but maybe there was some snobbishness there originally, but no, here I was really. There's two sides to it. Maybe I'm going to answer my own question. I think that on one hand, this is me trying once again to kind of like almost say, oh yeah, I can kind of work with what I've done before and still make it work and make it passable. But on the other hand, I'm also kind of poking fun at myself and saying, okay, well, I'm going to admit, if anybody is wondering, do I think my movies are the best things ever? There's some issues, but I'm trying to be creative with that.
Right.
And still trying to make the most ambitious movie I've made yet. Not because I necessarily think that I'll succeed in every way, but I don't know. What do you think? Having your very unbiased opinion of having directed half the movie.
I mean, I think it would be a really easy way to like. I feel like it's kind of a cop out to say that like, oh yeah, this is just self-indulgent and like.
It's a little self-indulgent.
Absolutely, and it is. But to say that it's only self-indulgent, it's doing a disservice to the learning process that you're going through in making movies.
And also, I say this in every one, but I have to say thank you for everybody who did participate, like you and Will and Jesse and Nick and Ja, like helping out every time, like just really, like I feel like in terms, believe it or not, and when we'll get to them. Okay, when we can talk about it out of sequence if you want. If you don't think we have enough to talk about, otherwise I'll just rant about a lot of things. But because I realized during the interviews that is kind of what you do is reflect. But while I do think that, all right, this is my most ambitious movie, I think Sacrifice is sort of like, in some senses, the purest movie. But Bad Places, I think, is probably the best thing I've done.
Mm-hmm.
I guess in terms of technical stuff overall from my vision, though it was still unfinished and there was stuff out of it I didn't want. But I feel like this was okay. In terms of the actual work that everybody did, like on this scene here, and the scenes within the movie within the movie, Demon Chair, those scenes were actually some of the best we ever did.
Yeah.
Overall, the 3 scenes that are actually in the movie, the amount of work, the amount of takes, especially the big one towards the end with the whole like
Oh, in the
possession
chair.
evil thing where I'm playing the the monstrous thing. Um, we that was pretty elaborate. That was the most fun thing to do.
Yeah.
We went very hard with that, and I can honestly say that. And I will say too, I guess okay. One thing also in this movie I could say in terms of our directing styles, I noticed we're different.
Hmm.
You like this one is yours. I totally let you direct this one, and you were really very focused on just getting some composite shots that looked good. Everybody was in the scene. It kind of reminded me of maybe you can tell me more what you did. It was like theatrical, like almost like a theater performance. I could definitely see that, and I really liked the frame. And I'll be honest, I forget if I wrote this in the script, and maybe you played around with it, but and this is again, there's all in every movie you guys are doing this like embracing
Yeah.
thing. Every time it's not intentional. It's I mean, I guess you write it, but I'm not thinking about it consciously when it happens. But I saw it worked a couple times, so we're definitely doing it here. But I liked how Alex was in the foreground. You and I were kind of further back, and I was off to the side because my character's, kind of, feeling uncertain about what's going on. And I did like, it was blatantly pretentious to do the scenes within the movie as black and white,
Yeah.
but I thought I was very proud of later on when we snapped between the actual scene and which was the last one, your scene in the middle. I totally just kind of kept it its own because I liked it,
Hmm.
but there wasn't. Maybe it was also the way I wrote it too. Just like there weren't as many cuts. Like with mine, I'm like I just all different angles, and I'm just trying to do so much. You know, you kept it focused on the players and on the dialogue with just enough to catch your eye. There was a lot going on in the scene,
Hmm.
but not a lot of camera movement, which I don't know if that was intentional. But I really like the way it was set up, and I'm always trying to do so much. Like, how can I make this interesting? But I know I might have a tendency to overdo it.
Yeah.
I just love playing with my angles and stuff, and then I end up making editing much harder. Your scene was so easy to edit. I'm like, okay, a couple takes where we were wrong, and then okay, that was it.
Yeah.
It was good. It was simple, but it worked.
Yeah. I think because I make this no secret about myself. I'm a photographer. I really enjoy shooting on film instead of digitally.
Mm-hmm.
And so a part of that, a part of shooting on film as a medium, uh, is the restrictive nature of it.
Mm-hmm.
You will only have 36 shots to a roll.
Oh wow.
And so every photo that you take needs to be something that you are sure you want to take
Mm.
a picture of.
Are the conditions right? Is this exactly how you want it
Right.
to look? Wow.
Because you are essentially spending money every time you click the shutter button
Mm.
that there's film loaded inside of the camera.
Makes sense.
So like, it's not always super expensive. Like I've got a roll of like $4 film in the camera right now. So $4 divided by 36 is
Math.
just under.
9.
I think it's like two. Like
Wait.
yeah,
Wait.
yeah. It is just under 10 cents, I think,
Yeah.
per shot. So it's not a tremendous amount of money, but like it's still something that you need to keep in mind. And then of course there's the cost of developing and scanning, and potentially printing as well if you want to do that.
I love shooting digitally.
Oh yeah, and don't get me wrong, digital photography and videography is really convenient.
That's
It
for
is
sure.
Really great.
That's for sure.
Because it is so accessible and so convenient, and you can just do however many takes you want, and you don't have to worry about wasting money.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. It's fantastic.
But does that make it more likely to be lazier?
I don't think so. I think if you are in the right headspace, you can create the same art that you would either on either through analog means or through digital means.
Okay.
However, using analog mediums like film will help some people. It helps me get into the headspace where I need to be, so that when I do shoot digitally, I'm not taking pictures of something that doesn't need to be taken a picture of,
Mm.
or that doesn't need to have its picture taken.
Okay.
and that can translate directly into videography as well. You know, so like with my scene that I directed, I liked the overall composition, and working with blocking
Mm-hmm.
helps to prevent a lot of the cuts that are sometimes necessary for a wider scene like that.
Mm-hmm.
So like Alex is a large guy.
Mm-hmm.
You can use that to your advantage and make him not only appear domineering, but you can also use it to block out some of the more distracting parts, like the fan and the lamp in the background. You know, you can also keep some of the other figures, you and me, smaller, a little bit less important. You're showing that the person who is taking up the most of the screen is talking. He is the one in control of the conversation. And so with the people in the back, while they may still be engaged and they may still be like moving and active within the frame, they're not going to be catching your eye as much because they're smaller. You can think of it like in a graphic novel, or a visual novel on Steam or something like that. You have a character, and when they talk, their icon is blown up to make sure that you know which character is talking. And then when they're not talking, they shrink back down. And so using in-frame movement, you can really create a lot more angles in one scene without so many cuts. That doesn't necessarily feel jarring, because I think sometimes too many cuts can feel very disorienting.
That's true.
And that can work for a scene if you're going for something that's disorienting.
That's true. And I guess that scene didn't really call for that, because you wanted to draw... there was drama there in that moment, and you wanted to focus on the dialogue and the characters' emotions. It wasn't so much about creating a weird atmosphere with a lot of strange angles. It was a pretty straightforward conversation. And I think your mentioning of the blocking definitely makes sense. That sounds like classic film language too. It's good stuff. And and I just think it worked well. I mean, it sold it. I mean, I think you've got a good eye as a photographer, and you look good, half naked. So as a cinematographer and as a leading man, I mean, you've done pretty well. I think you've been a primary component of Merlin's Beer Productions.
Oh yeah, thank you.
And I will say, I really do hope that if I continue to make more movies, I'd love to have you on doing more camera work, or heck, if you want to take, I don't know, I guess, I know that your passion is definitely with the lens, with the camera. I think doing the cinematography, I think I credited you as the cinematography in this, even though I did some of it. But I really value that. I think you've got talent and a passion for that stuff, and probably better at it than I am in a lot of respects. So I definitely like that. So I think that I also, in terms of directing the scene, I guess, I guess I think we try to, as a group, we all, especially with that last scene we'll get to in a bit, we are kind of a collective. I mean, I feel like, I believe, if I remember correctly, yes, in, we're getting to it soon. In Sacrifice, I think I tried to direct everybody, but I didn't have a lot of control on set in terms of everything I wanted. And I don't know. I think a lot of ideas got put in and I didn't say no or something. Whereas in Bad Places, I think I wanted to try and be more collaborative with everybody, but at the same time was very much like, I'm going to get this right. And I was more anal about it. I guess I was. But in this one, I was trying to go after it. I think the ideal way to direct is like, okay, you are the person that guides and puts things together, but you want everybody's input.
Yeah.
And everybody has something to offer. And I think, film is collaborative, and it really is. And being somebody who, you want to, put the whole thing together and have it be something, there's Will's belly. It's going to naturally become something anyway. It's going to take on a form of its own, no matter how much work goes into it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the beauty of creating anything, even writing. I've been writing a book lately, and you might plan something out, and as you're writing it, new things will come up that you didn't plan.
Yeah.
You got to work around. So it's an interesting thing. But directing a scene, like for instance this one, this was the most fun to do, and I think this is the best thing, and why I'm so happy about having made these little films and having friends that help me with it, because it's just a great experience, and that's the best thing about it. Like that I've taken away from it is making these movies. The experience of making it is the most fun part about it,
Yeah.
and talking about it afterwards.
Yeah.
Like the final product is interesting, but like it's the making of stuff that's cool, and like being able to put some of that in the movie, our blurbs and outtakes and behind the scenes, off roll or whatever conversations, the little jokes and whatnot here, they're great. Making fun of like, oh, where's the script? Oh, I need that page, and haha. And I'm like, what? I said that? Like you wrote it, like little, like, just the little jokes. I mean, that's the best thing is the camaraderie and people coming together and making something. So I guess my initial question to you is, I guess directing, like, in terms of the scene beyond just the camera, how do you feel about doing that stuff?
I think it's I was talking earlier to you about how art making is a language.
Yeah. In our podcast that didn't record apparently.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh, man. I think that it's starting to become a little bit more natural to me, because like this was really my first time directing somebody for videography,
like acting purposes and positioning and stuff.
Yeah. And like I said, I'm a photographer, and so sometimes I take portraits of people, and people, generally speaking, don't know how to pose themselves for somebody else who's taking a photo of them.
I've heard that before a lot, actually.
And if you're not ready to take over the reins, if you're not ready to be sort of, at least to some degree, assertive to what you want in a scene from somebody else, you're
they're not going to listen to you. Probably.
They're not going to know what exactly it is that you want.
You got to make your direction clear, is what you're saying.
Yeah. And so a lot of the time, like when you're directing an individual, you can put them in a role. You can give them a role to play, and it can be very archetypal. It can be like
a lot of my characters are.
Yeah. I mean, like if I'm trying to take a photo of like a lead manager, let's say for
fast food chain or store, or
something, a lead manager for a regional chain.
Sure.
Let's say
Michael Scott.
Sure.
I don't know.
Let's
watching
let's
a lot
I'm
of Office
taking,
lately.
Yeah. Let's say I'm taking a portrait for Michael Scott. Now I'm not gonna tell him like, oh yeah, I need you to like look over here, like turn your body this way and look over and chin up. Like I could do that, but it's not gonna convey any of his sensibilities. It's not gonna convey why he's a good leader.
Or be very natural.
Yeah,
looking.
It's not gonna look natural either. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tell him like, okay, I want you to act like you're playing D&D with a few friends, and you're negotiating with this really savage orc tribe. They're abducting people. They're sacrificing them for their evil god, and amassing power. And I need you to roll a d20 for me to persuade these orcs to stop doing that. And so I want you to really just roll for it, And when he does that, I'm going to say, okay, you just got a nat 20. You crit.
Yeah.
I want you to look right at me, and I want you to show me how much joy you have, how much relief, and how much triumph you feel. And I'll take the picture then, And
that's
so
some good direction right there. I like it.
It's directing is not necessarily about making somebody look or making a scene look away. It's about giving that scene or that person character and dynamic to work within.
How successful do you think we are with our movies, or with this one? With that, I feel like I think this one was the easiest. I mean, full disclosure, my scripts are pretty light in terms of characterization, because with this one, I'm like, I wasn't sure I was going to be able to film the full demon share. Although I had so much fun with the actual scenes, I would love to have actually done it. Like I wish I could have done the whole movie. That would have been really fun. But I my characters are very light. Like it's pretty much more about the filmmaking process itself, like the framing, the atmosphere, the music, the acting, a lot of allegorical, metaphorical stuff. They're characters in the lightest sense. You can call that surrealism. Also, maybe just uh, convictions for acting abilities we have and direction and writing abilities that I have. So I want to keep it simple because I want to kind of get the technical stuff out of the way. But you're right. I think you have to tell a good story, and I guess in a weird way, this is since it is kind of based on us. It was kind of easier for us to slip into roles because it's like sort of pseudo autobiographical anyway. So I guess this one has like the most fleshed out story.
Yeah.
It definitely does. It's the most straightforward one. Do you think we do a? How do you think we did with our direction and framing our scenes like that and everything?
I think for the interview parts, we definitely did pretty okay.
Okay.
I mean, the direction was you're you, but heightened. Pick something about you that you think is funny, and just roll with it.
And I think that I hope that comes off well is that there's a lot of honesty. In these things.
I mean, absolutely.
Like, and of course they're heightened. And I mean, I think somebody commented. They were like, "Oh man, it seems like a lot of these people might have issues with each other." And like that is in the Universal film, the in universe that is the point. But that's mostly not true. But we are all picking fun of like different elements, I guess that might be there. But no, it was all cool and it was a good making the film overall for the most part, other than like the issues that we normally had. But I think reflecting on like, like in Sacrifice when you punched Will, which I wish I had the film.
Yeah.
Like you need him or whatever. Yeah. I was like, oh man, like Will gets beaten up in all these.
Yeah, seriously,
poor guy. But nah, yeah, I think in terms of the movie within the movie, it's kind of limited by what it is. Like, you can give some direction for like what the context of the scene is, but how fleshed out can it really be when we don't have a whole movie about these characters?
Yeah.
But I still think you sell it pretty well. I thought it was good enough for what I was aiming for.
Yeah.
Those pixels are great.
Oh, absolutely. Take a shot for everyone that you see.
If you take a shot for every pixel in Sacrifice, man, I think you'd be plastered within the first minute.
I don't know. I think you'd only get 2 shots.
2 shots in and you're good?
No, 2 shots total.
Total?
There are only 2 pixels.
Oh, man. I think making a drinking game out of these... Okay. Oh, that might be fun. What do you think are some good drinking games rules we could have for these?
Anytime you don't understand what's going on, take a shot.
That's like...
Take a sip.
That's like...
Take a sip.
That's most of, if not the whole of every movie.
Yes.
Well, wait a minute. Would you say this film is more coherent than Bad Places? Or Sacrifice?
I think it's more coherent than Sacrifice, but I think Bad Places was the most...
I thought it...
I thought Bad Places was the easiest to understand what's happening.
Sacrifice had a straightforward story, but because of various issues, it was because of like a lot of stuff that happened, and you can listen to that commentary, stuff just not being able to be filmed in like the last half of the movie, it got very strange. You might be like, wait, what happened? So a lot's interpreted there, but you're right. I guess Bad Places was meant to be very strange, but it was pretty easy to follow because the essential story was pretty basic.
Yeah. I think too, like the cinematography and the visual storytelling, and use of iconography in Bad Places was a lot clearer.
Yeah,
than it was in Sacrifice.
Yeah, literally too. I mean,
yeah,
literally the picture was clear. Like we were using a decent camera. It wasn't just on my camcorder, so that was part of it. And my girlfriend helped me use it a little bit, and you helped me out too. So I was much more concerned in Bad Places with getting it to look and sound better, which might also contribute to why you could understand what was going on, because in Sacrifice you literally couldn't see or hear half of the movie. Yeah. So it's like technical issues and writing issues, and editing stuff. But okay, I remember actually thinking that I'll tell you one thing that is very interesting, maybe only to us and the people that made it if they think about it, but between these 3 movies, the in-universe is very interesting.
Mm.
It's very weird. And I think it's fascinating to me how unintentional that was. Like through thematic ideas and consistent things we're drawn to with working with each other, with our acting choices, directing choices, writing choices, how there are so many similarities, and the creature of a Lotham, the concept of this, the being from the first movie who was kind of vague anyway, and originally there was supposed to be like that woman character, the ex girlfriend who was like a ghost or something, which not really even in the movie mentioned, but then you've got the Lotham character who just sort of is interweaving, and I don't know. I think it's kind of cool how the mythos took on a life of its own. I don't know. You think that that's an interesting thing? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think you're always going to have, something in any production that kind of takes on a life of its own. And I think it's always really interesting to see like smaller indie productions like this, and like zero budget films that have like
Something.
it's just got something going on, you know.
No, that's true. I'm glad the movies have something going on. I don't know. I guess they could be fun to watch, but I don't know. I don't really know. The weird thing is I feel like my these movies have had like not an overly negative reception
Yeah.
for what they are.
Oh, I feel like I watch these things all the time.
Well, I know, but I mean, we made them, so it's kind of like I'm curious to see like what somebody, taking into account what it is, would think of it.
Yeah.
Like a more unbiased opinion. Like clearly you can see I have, it's a zero budget kind of amateurish thing anyway. But I don't know. I'm curious what the average random viewer on YouTube would think.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I told you, I showed all of them to a few of my friends from school, and they were like, "Okay, yeah, when can we like recreate these? I want to remake these. I want to make them.
Hey, I mean,
I want to do a fan cast. I want to remake them, dude.
Hey, that would be cool. People. It's been brought up in conversation before about like going back and remaking Sacrifice.
I think we could do it.
Like, is that like what I should do? Because that was the first one. That was like the goal. Is that the one to remake? I guess. I don't know. It would be cool to throw some money at it and try to get some like maybe more professional actors or something, more help with it. That would be cool. But I don't know. It could be fine the way it is too. At the same time. Bad Places, I'm actually fine with that. I just kind of wish that that subplot that was there could have still been in it. I've been kind of tossing around ideas for another movie, like if I actually wanted to put some money into it. And I don't know if I've told you, but we're thinking about possibly doing like a werewolf feature or something.
Yeah.
I think we mentioned that, which I actually did start working on the script a while back, but I started writing something else. So like I'm like, I really want to take my time to make a full out, fleshed out script. And I'll be honest, it's difficult.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I actually,
believe it, dude.
like, I mean, I've written like little snippets of screenplays, but like trying to flesh out a story, it's different than writing, prose, like writing a short story or a novel or something. It is different. And I'm trying to think about like what budget I might have available. The main thing, okay, here's the interesting thing. I definitely would like to try to make it at some point, maybe in a couple years here. Who knows? Maybe I'll start like a Kickstarter or something, as well as putting my own money into it, because I will. And if you work on it, John, I will pay you something, because I really would like to. I'd like it to feel a little more official. But the main thing would be if I was going to do a werewolf movie, I want there to be some money in the costume. Yeah. There has to be at least that decent practical effect that even if I play around with lighting, I want it to like be sold as maybe scary, but I feel like, I've had differing opinions about like whether to make it campy, go straight forward, who's the villain. So it's still in the process of like figuring out what I want to do with it. But I don't know. Do you think these films will always be campy? That's the question.
I think.
Or better yet, I was talking to you beforehand, before this, about I guess like what type of camp is good. I don't know how campy my movies are. I mean, I guess when you watched it with your friends, did they come off as campy? Like, what was the reaction? Because I don't know.
I think definitely for the first movie, for Sacrifice and for Demon Chair, the consensus was like, yeah,
Camp.
these are campy. The second one was like, oh yeah, they're like trying, they're putting effort into it. You know, they're like actually giving a damn about what they're doing. Like they're thinking about framing, they're thinking about like dialogue, they're thinking about acting. I even let slip that like this we actually did multiple takes of scenes in bad places.
Oh yeah, in Sacrifice we might have had like 2 takes for some scenes.
Yeah.
Maybe there were a lot of scenes in Sacrifice where I was like, yeah, it's good. I admit I thought it was good, and taking the time to think about would the character say this? How did this sound?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, in Bad Places, we did do a lot of takes, and actually, to be honest, in Demon Chair, there were quite a few takes. That last scene, I don't even know how many. I think it was 4 or 5 takes of certain parts because it was multiple. It wasn't like all shot at once.
Yeah.
It was broken up with different mini scenes. So yeah, we did try. We did care.
And I think that the effort that was put into the second one helped negate a little bit of the camp that was inherent in it.
Because there was still some camp.
Oh, absolutely, there was still some camp.
What's the campiest thing about Bad Places? I don't remember. I'd have to watch it again.
Definitely the slow-mo walk from everyone, like walking through the little storage unit kind of thing.
I'm trying to think the slow. Where
you guys get dispatched by shirtless Alex, and Jaws wearing his kilt.
That's a great scene.
That is. It is.
It's that adds to the surrealism for sure. Yeah. Oh,
but it definitely feels campy.
It's true. Oh man, and in retrospect, the scene we were most proud of, the hallway scene.
Oh yeah,
which
the cart.
Which, by the way, that has the best shot, which is the poster, which is you with the barrel. That is the best shot in the movie, which is perfect because just blurry in the background, you can see the boom mic if you look. So it's fucking perfect for my movies. But yes, I think that is the best shot, at least maybe one of the best shots in the movie.
Yeah,
we definitely did a good job putting that together. But man, having a dolly and moving down the hallway, I loved that. It felt so good to do that. It felt so legit. But man, I like to let us know because that was a long walk down that short little storage area. I loved it. That cut, we're still walking. Yes, It was fun to do this, and we bumped into it, so that was great. It was probably the most fun scene to film. Well, no, the last one in Demon Chair was pretty great.
Yeah.
A lot of the flubs were great. Yeah. So I don't know. Which was your favorite role? for you. Because that was my other question. For you as an actor, how do you feel you are? Because I will let you know, and this is an agreement from people that have viewed it and people that have worked on it. Court is an agreement among the Merlin, my one patron, Merlin's Beer Productions, that you are the best actor we have.
Yes.
You agree, and you agree.
Yes.
You're totally accepting that. Okay.
I'm not that great of an actor.
No.
I completely understand that. However,
but by our standards,
comparatively,
I want to say, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to say some people don't try, because especially in Bad Places, and really to some extent in Demon Chair, people were trying.
Oh, absolutely.
They were actually trying. There were multiple takes. People were thinking. I was giving the direction about the character and intonation and things like that. Okay, let's try it this way. Okay, let's try it that way. So we did try, but some people might more of a natural inclination and more practice. Okay, Nick got a lot of flack in Bad Places for not acting, and he didn't really. His character in Bad Places is basically Nick.
Yes.
But in his one scene here in Demon Chair, he did really try.
Yes. He
did try. He did think about the atmosphere. He did try a different direction. And there is an uncut scene where he does talk in a really silly voice, which I got to upload at some point. So, Nick,
this is the scene that I was talking about being campy.
It's campy. We're trying too hard. I think it's like, once again, I don't know. That was great. It's a great scene. I wouldn't change it at all. But it definitely does clash a little bit. Like maybe it's more over the top than the rest of the movie. Yeah, man. But of the roles that you've played as an actor, I mean, you're definitely channeling William Shatner, which I love. I don't know. Did you enjoy playing a certain role? Because I honestly don't know. Like,
I think
how was my direction throughout the films? Did it help? Were you just kind of like I have no idea what's up in the script? Like I don't know. How do you approach each role?
I think as far as my favorite character that has like in a final product,
Yeah,
uh, definitely Bad Places.
nice. Makes sense.
However, I definitely had the most fun just acting as myself in these interviews.
Talking about photography for a
Yeah.
bunch of time and ranting about how technologically we haven't gotten any better at filmmaking.
Yeah.
That was pretty great. So you had a lot more fun with this one.
Yeah.
So you're saying you had the least amount of fun in Sacrifice. We were comatose on the couch for like, yeah,
It's not that I didn't have fun.
but comparatively speaking, you had the
I
most
mean,
fun.
I guess, yeah. But also, like, I don't know. Sacrifice is a weird, like a weird thing in my consciousness.
Really?
Yeah, because like I do enjoy the final product.
So do I.
I think it's campy, and I think it's
It-
fun to watch.
It's also the movie that makes me the most mad when I went. I think. I mean, I've gotten literally mad looking at all my movies and like, this sucks. You believe me, I'm very hard on myself when these things are done.
Oh, I
but
totally understand.
I was, and I'm always stressed showing it to you guys. Like it's ridiculous. I'm very prima donna about it. But like with Sacrifice, I remember I had such high expectations, and it was like that. Wow, yeah, Joe, you are just kind of an amateur putting this together. Like, and yeah, it was just I was disappointed. But over time, thankfully, my feelings about the process has changed, and I enjoy it. I'm happy
Yeah.
about it. But yeah, it is a weird thing. Why is it a weird thing for you?
I don't know. It's like I've got a really terrible memory.
What?
Like a really terrible sense of memory.
Oh,
like,
just memory. Okay.
so like there are like I don't remember everything about filming for Sacrifice,
Mhm.
and that might be because it was like the summer right out of high school or
Stuff going on, and
like-
you were half asleep. And...
yeah, like
Yeah.
it was. We always shot at like midnight on Sundays. It's like it's a weird time, but like that's fine. And so like there are some things that like I watch in that movie that I do, and I'm like,
What?
wow, why did I do that? I didn't know that I did that. It's really weird. And too like that was me from 4 years ago.
Yeah.
I do not look like that anymore.
No. So you
It's-
see yourself kind of grow up a little bit.
Yeah, it's weird looking at my arm that's completely naked of tattoos and looking down and seeing them there, and it's like, oh wow, yeah, I didn't always have these things.
You're right. It's a snapshot of a time too, and that's also one of the reasons I guess I love doing YouTubing and recording and podcasting. It's like I like sort of archiving
Yeah.
conversations with my friends and things that are going on, and so yeah, it's partially that too. I mean, I guess it was kind of good to just kind of gather everybody together, and I'm happy about that, and I like to think that it's mostly good memories. I didn't like. I hoped that I wasn't like a tyrannical director, but maybe I came off that way sometimes. I mean, it's in the film for a reason, as a bit of a joke. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'll tell you what. One thing that has never been brought up really in the commentaries is how mad I would get sometimes.
Yeah.
I would get kind of angry sometimes.
And I don't
in every
remember-
movie, I think it happened at least once where I was just pissed.
I don't remember it too much in Sacrifice, and I think that might be because of like you were saying, you had these high expectations and you didn't realize like how much of a gap there was between your expectations and the final product,
and then
Sacrifice
afterwards,
until the end.
so much depression,
Yeah.
so much self hate. You have no idea. It was bad. It was ridiculous in retrospect, but it was like, yeah, I was pretty upset about it for a while.
Yeah. But no, and I think it's because I get the same way about my own art. I get really down on myself and get really like frustrated and angry that I am not able to do something that I think I should be able to do. I think a lot of artists are like that about what they create.
Yeah, it's that's perfectionist thing, man. You gotta just be willing to learn from the cracks and the mistakes, and those are kind of part of the joy of the piece too. Like something can be great because of its flaws and in spite of its flaws, And I just feel like I don't know. Context is key too, right?
Yeah.
For sure. And I guess sometimes I forget the context. Not as much now. Though I've gotten to the point where, like I said, if I do tackle filmmaking, I want to put a little bit of money behind it, like
Yeah.
actual some dollars, and try to actually collaborate with some people that I don't know, not just kind of like pushing my friends into it.
Yeah.
Though I don't know, it's weird. Another thing about it that's weird too is that you see, for me, I'll be honest with you, I never realized I'm so much of an amateur at this when I actually think about like, oh, what if I actually did like try and get some people that went to school for theater or went to school for like cinematography or editing or something, and they actually know more than I do. And like, how am I? What right do I have to direct these people to make my movie? Like, I should help them with theirs, but what do I have up to offer? And then it's like, man, and I wonder, like, is it an insecurity thing? Like, I kind of like, I admit, I like having it be my friends because, on one hand, it's like, okay, maybe I feel like there's less pressure on me,
Yeah.
but also I can maybe use the excuse of it's just amateurish because it's just my friends. So like
Yeah.
I can never
Yeah.
really push myself, and there's less at stake. So maybe I kind of hid behind that a little too,
Hmm.
to some extent. But that's the thing. If I make more movies, I would really love to get more of my friends involved again and keep them involved. But over time, that might become less feasible anyway. So I don't know. Uh, but I feel like if I keep making movies, I still want to keep some people involved
Oh,
if you're
absolutely.
interested. Like, I mean, if you want to do cinematography, would you like to direct the next film I do completely?
I mean,
Like, and if I mean,
I wouldn't mind giving a go at it.
like, I mean, if you feel like you could handle it, I mean, we could work on it together again if we get to it. But I mean, I know my main thing is I mean, like I've thought about kind of like, well, maybe I could have someone else write it, but it's weird. I've trying to get someone else to write the movie you want for you is kind of difficult.
Yeah.
I think other people might have movies they've written that they like you to film, which maybe I could look around for. But yeah, like so I'm like really trying to focus on the screenplay. It's something I need to do because in every movie I've done, the story is light.
Yeah.
The story is disparate, so I'd want to focus more on actually having a fully fleshed out script, with character motivations and an actual plot to build off of,
Yeah.
with the freedom of a lot of things could change based on that. Though I really like directing in general. I like acting in a movie. I don't know how good I am at it, but I try to add some energy. I wouldn't mind acting a little bit. Actually, the thing. Okay, the thing I actually like the most about these movies,
Hmm.
believe it or not, the thing I feel like I've gotten the most proficient at is like just editing.
Yeah.
Like I have to edit the entire thing myself, and I have to make a lot of choices and decide what's cut and look at the same scenes over and over again. Which is, on one hand, I hate it, and I think no, and every part of the filmmaking process is great, but I have not appreciated. Well, I've learned so much about like movie making and the great things about it and the struggles with it, even on a zero budget production. You realize how much people go through to make a movie. It's like a miracle, right? But I never appreciate editing as much. Like, it's tedious, it takes a lot of time, but it's kind of satisfying too
Yeah.
at the same time. So I like editing. I still need to get better at that too, but it felt really nice to actually have like actual editing software to use. That it was nice, which is pretty basic anyway, and I should have used it years ago, but that was probably the nicest thing. Yeah, I had a lot of fun playing this guy, different takes, making him really hammy,
Yeah.
playing a Lotham, which is very different than a Lotham in the last movie,
Yeah.
which is kind of a mob boss. So I guess he didn't. I don't know. I don't know how consistent that is.
I think
I don't know how. I
I
don't know.
think I'm fine with it. Because like it's Elitham is supposed to be this like very chaotic,
Evil, yeah.
evil entity that like is really kind of unpredictable.
Definitely, yeah. Well,
Like-
clearly, from movie to movie, he's
Yeah,
very unpredictable.
and I think that's fine. I certainly don't mind it.
Yeah, no, I don't either. What's your favorite version of a Lotham? There's Jesse's.
Yeah, there's the psychological like sit down and talk with you.
There's the sit down and talk with you. Jesse is kind of the disembodied voice. We did the vocal thing together, which was kind of cool. And then you had him either possessing or taking the form of like a mob boss guy, which was Alex's interpretation, which is a bit more quiet. And then you had mine, which is just kind of like, haha, maliciously evil, channeling some kind of supervillain or something.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Did you have a favorite? There's no wrong answer because I don't know. I think they all kind of were. They kind of work for their individual pieces.
Yeah, I don't think. I think choosing a favorite would be like. Geez, I don't know. I don't think I have a favorite. I think you're right. They definitely all work for their individual movies.
Hmm.
Like,
All right. Well, here. Okay. Here's one. Here's a question for you. I know we've got a couple minutes, but we can go a little over if you want. But all right. I'm curious. As like a horror thing, something dark and scary. Which one do you think sells that atmosphere the best? Is that
Bad Places. Yeah.
okay? Which is weird because that's like the least straight horror movie.
Yeah.
But I guess it did give off. It eventually was revealed it was kind of supernatural anyway,
Yeah.
atmospherically.
And I'm not sure whether that's just through the
Sound
technical proficiency that it was made with, or if it was like the writing or the acting. Because like
combination, I guess.
yeah,
Probably.
I think it's safe to say it's a combination.
I think there's definitely, you're right. There's a lot more camp that bleeds through in the other two.
Yeah.
For sure. I wonder what Bad Places would have been like if it was campy. Would it have been better? Would have been funnier.
Yeah.
I think the bloopers in Bad Places are great. Like, I know I can't get a hold of her because she's dead. Like, I don't know that. Oh man, that was pretty great too. Man, I don't know. Well, any final thoughts on the movie? We got like 5 more minutes of commentary.
Yeah, it's true.
Any final thoughts about anything? Anything? Because I'm going to talk till the end. That's what they do on these things.
That's true. That's what they do.
I can't believe it. I might have almost run out of something to talk about with one of my own things. That's like hard to say. Wow. Oh yeah.
Which was your favorite to direct?
To direct?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Either partially or wholly.
My favorite. That's tough because, I mean, I felt like I was putting myself under the most stress for Bad Places, but I felt the most like I knew what I was doing in that one. Because I was trying to like take more of a firm control. But yeah, I guess making them all, I would say that maybe Sacrifice was the most fun, and this one was also pretty fun for the most part. But yeah, I think just directing it like in that role, I think Bad Places was probably my favorite. I feel like that's the answer to a lot of these questions.
Yeah.
How did you feel about our? Oh yeah, this scene was really good actually. That was kind of creepy. With me murdering Alex and Will thinking that I actually did. So people got kind of uncomfortable with that scene. So yeah, that scene was my favorite. Scenes where I killed Alex. No.
Yeah.
No. Yes. So angry at each other. No, it's fine. My co-writer of Sacrifice, and actor extraordinaire. But yeah, no. How did you feel about the meta aspect of this? Was this meta enough? Was it sold that like the demon took the camera and is out and about? Did we sell that quite as well, or was it not quite as well conveyed as it could have been? Because I remember we had a lot of fun. Like, ooh, we're gonna like have it turn around and move it. I don't know how well we pulled that off. People be confused about that one.
I think it was pretty good. I think we sold that element of it pretty well.
I liked that quite a bit. I think. Oh, that's right. We're doing different takes at this point. I'm waiting for it. I know it's gonna pop up soon. But yeah.
I think the meta elements of this final movie would have been like they're still pretty clear. You can tell what is meant to be the fake movie and what is meant to be the behind the scenes kind of stuff.
Which initially I thought about making it more confusing to like make it more interesting, but I'm like, no, I think it's just gonna look messy at that point. Like I gotta try and show like that's why I chose the different colors and whatnot.
And I think the use of the commentary tracks along with like footage paired up with it and behind the scenes and everything, I think that was pretty clear cut. I think the only way that it would be clearer is if the audio is a little bit cleaner, but that's just that's a technical limitation that we can always fix later.
Yeah, that's the one thing that's been kind of an issue in all these is like the audio is still a bit iffy sometimes. And like I said, I think it was a couple of those scenes we thought the air conditioning was not going to pick up as much as it did, and it did. And you notice, I think it's in Will's scenes, like where there is nothing, you don't have that. So Yeah, the audio. Here it is. Yeah, the audio is still a little bit of an issue, but I'm hoping to perfect that at some point. That's the other thing. But yeah, I thought this was kind of cool. Which I think it was me walking up doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I did this part, which is a cool idea. Which I forget whose idea this was. Was this in the script,
I think
or was this your idea?
I think it was mine.
I think you came up with this. Like you should actually have him pick up the camera and do this. Yeah, I think that was your idea. It's a cool idea.
Yeah,
That
because
was-
like it
And then blurs the lines, man.
because like my interpretation of your take on Lotham for this film was that's a confusing sentence.
Your interpretation, my interpretation,
yeah.
your interpretation of this version of him in this film, accurate.
It felt like you were channeling Ultron from Age of Ultron. You know, very you no strings on me. Like I'm very. Ooh.
For my issues with that movie, I actually do like James Spader's voice role for that. I did like the Ultron character, the evil version of Tony Stark. You know, basically his prodigy, which I guess I mean, if everybody puts something of themselves in their work, did I make a Lotham an evil version of me? Was that, or was it just? You think I was just channeling? I was just channeling something along those lines, like
Yeah, it felt almost whimsical, but like also still kind of menacing because of how like comfortable
he was
he
with
was
the situation.
being in the situation and everything.
Yeah.
So I thought it would be a nice little kind of elaboration on that.
Okay, like I literally,
Yeah.
Pull
like,
that string.
I'm the one in charge now, you know.
and he was the whole time. There was a scene that didn't get filmed, which was I was gonna have a stinger at the end here, which was just gonna be actually us filming on the webcam, talking together about the movie,
That's right,
and then I was gonna have like some monster burst in, like and then we're all gonna killed, which, you know, it would be cool, I guess, if it was there, but like I'm okay with it not being there. I kind of liked ending it on sort of a creepy end, and I feel like just adding it might have been a little much.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It would have made it even more meta. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I could have gone either way with that one. But yeah, that was the movie. That was Demon Chair, the making of Demon Chair,
Yeah.
director's chair, Demon Chair making of documentary, whatever that mess was. But it was pretty fun to make it. Yeah, it was fun to make it. I'm glad we did it. I think I'm glad everybody showed up and did their best with it, and it was cool. I'm hoping to make more. And hopefully my next movies will have some more money. I know we're thinking about doing, like, I was originally thinking about doing a short film, which we could still maybe do, but I know the whole current issues kind of threw a plug in that at the moment, so we'll see. But yeah, thank you for listening to this and watching this commentary, and maybe there'll be more in the future.
Yeah. Here's hoping.
Here's hoping.